Hi, today we have a Skoda Rapid with a 1.2 petrol engine. I'm going to show you how to change the timing chain. Timing chain is started to make noises, and that's why it needs to be replaced. I'm going to start by opening the fuel filter. The fuel filter can be opened with a 36mm wrench. I have already loosened it. So I'm going to open and let the oil to drain into the oil pan. And also I'm going to remove this plastic hose full of the air filter. There is one bolt here with Torx 20. And also there are plastic fast pins. So when I remove it, I'm going to open these two bolts with Torx 30, and I'm going to remove the plastic caps. This is where we lock the camshafts. I have removed the plastic caps, so now you can see the camshafts, and we can notice that the holes in the camshafts are eccentric. So we have one part with a smaller half circle, and the other one is with bigger half circle. The smaller half circle should be at the top. So I'm going to turn the crankshaft. I need a 18mm wrench with a 12 angle, and I'm going to turn on the crankshaft pulley clockwise until the half circle is somewhere at the top. I will stop here, and I'm going to raise the vehicle. I'm going to remove the crankshaft position sensor, and I'm going to lock the crankshaft first. I have raised the vehicle, so now I'm going to open the plug first with a 6mm hex wrench and drain the oil. I have drained the oil. Now I can return the plug, and now I'm going to remove the crankshaft position sensor, that is this one. We have one bolt here with Torx 30. I'm going to open the bolt and remove the crankshaft sensor. I have removed the sensor. Also I have cleaned the hole a little. So now I'm going to insert the crankshaft locking pin. Like that. So now I'm going to push the crankshaft locking pin, and I'm going to turn the crankshaft until it goes into the flywheel and locks the crankshaft. Now the crankshaft locking tool is into the hole of the flywheel, and the crankshaft is locked. I can loosen the center bolt of the crankshaft with 18mm 12 angle wrench. I have loosened the crankshaft bolt, but I'm not going to remove yet. Now I'm going to open a couple of bolts of the oil pan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 bolts with 5mm hex wrench. I have removed the bolts of the oil pan. So next I'm going to remove these two bolts of the AC compressor, and the third one over here I'm going to loosen it only half way. I don't need to remove the whole compressor, just to move it a little, because the compressor I have removed the bolts of the oil pan. So now I'm going to lower the vehicle, and I'm going to support the engine. I have lowered the vehicle, also I have supported the engine. So next I'm going to remove the aluminum bracket. There I have to disconnect also the grounding point. There is one nut with 13mm wrench, one nut with 16mm wrench, and three bolts also with 16mm wrench. To remove this nut with 16mm wrench, I have to open two bolts of the expansion tank with Torx 25 and just move it a little so I can remove the bolt. I have removed the aluminum mounting. Now I need a 6mm hex wrench to loosen the three bolts of the coolant pump, and after that I'm going to remove the drive belt. After loosening the bolts of the coolant pump with a screwdriver, I'm going to remove the plastic cap of the tensioner, and with Torx 50 I'm going to push the tensioner to remove the drive belt. With Torx 50 I am pushing the tensioner anti-clockwise, and after that I can remove the drive belt. And now I can remove the three bolts of the coolant pump pulley. I can remove it. Also with Torx 50 I can remove the idler pulley, this bolt, and after that with a 16mm wrench I can remove the tank cover. I have removed the bolt, so now I can remove the tensioner. And also I can remove the bolt of the crankshaft pulley, and I can remove the crankshaft pulley. The bolt can be opened at anti-clockwise. And next is to open the two bolts of the alternator with 13mm wrench. One I can remove it the whole, one I just have to loosen it, and so I can move the alternator a little towards the coolant radiator. I had to remove the lower bolt also, because it was holding the alternator, so I couldn't move it to the. And on the lower bolt there is a aluminum spacer behind the alternator. It stays like this. So now I can start opening the bolts of the timing chain cover. We have here one three bolts with 12 12 angle M12, and below the coolant pump there are two bolts with 12 angle M10. I have loosened the three bolts with 12 angle M12. Now I'm going to open this bolt with Torx 30, so I can move the oil dipstick a little, and I will be able to open the lower bolt with 12 angle M10, and after that I'm going to remove the crankcase breather. There are two bolts on this side with 5mm hex wrench. I have removed the two bolts. Also I have disconnected the crankcase breather. Now you have to be very careful when moving it, because there is a plastic hose, and after a long use the plastic is can be easily snap because of the oil and heat. You can see this one has been cracked, so it's replaced with something else. Next is to open the bolts with Torx 30 that are holding the timing chain cover. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. One we have here, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, and one we have here 17 bolts with Torx 30. I have removed all the bolts of the timing chain cover, so now is the tough part to loosen the silicone, because the timing chain cover is glued. It doesn't have any gasket, and for that reason we have to slowly hammer it. Now you have to be very gentle, because it can easily break. You can see like this we have different sound, so this means that this side is loosened. So now I'm going to hammer it a little at the oil pan side. So now we can see this side is loosened, it's moving. There we go. And now we just have to loosen on this side. And we have to be very careful, because it's aluminum, it's big, and it can easily snap. It can be broken. That's why we hammer it a little, so we can give vibrations. And with a little struggle, now finally the timing chain cover is released, safe and sound. And we can notice that one part of the plastic slide is missing, and that's why the timing chain was making noises, and that's why I'm going to replace it. Now we have some plastic parts here. Something has fall down when I was removing the timing chain cover. So now I can lock the camshafts. Now you need a special tool for locking the camshafts. And I can install the bolts that were holding the plastic caps. The camshafts are in position, so the timing is right. It's not like that. And next is to push the tensioner. Push the tensioner in and lock it with a pin. I'm slowly pushing it by hand, and I'm locking with the pin. So now I have to open this bolt with 27mm wrench, but I have to hold the sprocket with a special tool. The special tool I have made by myself, so it has to be into two holes to hold it for the counterweight, and open the bolt with 27mm wrench anti-clockwise. I have loosened the bolt, so now I'm going to remove it. I'm only removing from the exhaust camshaft. Now we can pull out the plastic slides, but it's little stuck on the metal pins. Now that is removed. So now the tricky part to remove the timing chain is that we have to disconnect the oil pump chain, and to do that we have to loose the tensioner, and then we can remove the sprocket. The sprocket should stay like this. Now we can see this part here is different than this part, because it's a spacer between the two chains. And now we can remove the chain of the timing belt, of the timing for the camshaft, sorry. And now we can install the new one. I have cleaned the area of the silicone gasket, so now I can start installing the new timing chain. Here I have new timing chain kit. We have the two plastic slides, we have the timing chain, and also we have the tensioner. I'm going to start by installing this plastic guide, and also installing the tensioner, 3 bolts with Torx 30. I have installed the plastic guides, also I have installed the timing chain. Now I'm going to install the sprocket of the exhaust camshaft, and also I'm going to install the sprocket and timing chain of the oil pump. I have installed the timing chains. Now this bolt is still loosened, and now I'm going to remove the pin of the tensioner. Let the tensioner work. So now I can tighten this bolt with 27mm wrench, but I have to hold the sprocket with counterweight. I have tightened the exhaust sprocket, so now I can return the timing chain cover. I'm going to apply new silicone, and after that I'm going to install it. I'm going to apply here, and also don't forget on the oil pan side and on these 2 bolts. I have applied silicone, so now I can install the timing chain cover, tighten it. I have installed and tightened the timing chain cover, 17 bolts with Torx 30, 3 bolts with 12 angle M12, and 2 bolts with 12 angle M10. Now I can install the oil dipstick, and also I can install the aluminum mounting, tighten the 3 bolts here with 16mm wrench, and also tighten the nut with 16mm wrench. Now I have installed the oil dipstick, 1 bolt here with Torx 30. Also I have installed the crankcase breather or oil evaporator with 2 bolts with 5mm hex wrench. Installed the aluminum mounting, 3 bolts with 16mm wrench, 1 nut with 16mm wrench, and 1 nut we have here of the grounding point. So now I'm going to raise the vehicle to install the bolts of the oil pan, and tighten it with the timing chain cover. And on this side I have removed the locking pins, because when I'm going to raise the vehicle I'm going to remove also the locking pin of the crankshaft, and I'm going to install the crankshaft pulley and turn the engine. I have raised the vehicle, and I have installed the 8 bolts of the oil pan with 5mm hex wrench. Now I can install the crankshaft pulley and tighten the center bolt. I have installed and tightened the crankshaft pulley. The center bolt should be tightened at 150 Newton meters. And now I can remove the locking tool, and I can install the crankshaft sensor, 1 bolt with Torx 30. If remove the locking pin, install the crankshaft position sensor, tighten it 1 bolt with Torx 30. So now I can turn the crankshaft to see how everything is going. Everything is looking good. So now I'm going to lower the vehicle to finish the work, install the alternator, install the crankshaft pulley, the coolant pump pulley, install the tensioner, idler. I have installed the alternator, 2 bolts with 13mm wrench, install the tensioner, 1 bolt with 16mm wrench, install the idler pulley, 1 bolt with Torx 50, and also install the coolant pump pulley, 3 bolts with 6mm hex wrench. They can be tightened after installing the drive belt. So now I'm going to fill with new oil. I'm going to install new oil filter, and I'm going to install the plastic caps on this side. We have 2 caps, 2 bolts with Torx 30, and I'm going to return the hose of the air filter housing. There is 1 bolt with Torx 20. I have installed a new oil filter, and I'm going to refill with new oil 540. To refill this engine with oil, it requires around 3 liters of oil. This one can be tightened with 36mm wrench. I have refilled with oil, so now I can start the engine. We have oil pressure, the sound is lost. Now the mileage you can see. This is the first time the timing belt is changed, and this is the real mileage. Engine is working good. Now there are no more noises coming from the timing chain. I'm going to let the engine to work. So this means that I am finished. If you like to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and thank you for watching. After replacing the timing chain, it's recommended to clean the throttle body, and also we have to reset the ECU, delete the fault codes, and I'm going to show you right now. Because in the memory of the computer is stored different we can see that the catalyst system efficiency below threshold. That's why that needs to be resetted, so the computer can make new adjustments. Now we have to turn the ignition off. Press OK. So now when the engine is going to work, it's going to start like it came out from the factory, and it's going to make self adjustments of the lambda sensors. Now we are turning the ignition on. Press OK. And also after that we have to readjust the electronic throttle control. Now we are turning the ignition off again. press OK. Turn the ignition on. Okay, so now we can disconnect and we can start the engine again and see how it's going to work right now. So now it's not jumping like the first time I started. Now I just have to reconnect the hose and I am finished. If you like to see more videos, please subscribe to my channel, like my videos, and thank you for watching.